Hey everybody, my name is Aaron and I quit my job to start a startup. It's called Hi-Hat and it makes being a fan into a game. So sorry I'm a day late on this post. I usually post every Wednesday. This is a Thursday. I had some stuff come up yesterday and I was basically busy all day. So today I'm going to talk about conversations. It's really important when you are building a project like this to have as many conversations with as wide a variety of people as possible. And so far, I've been talking to a lot of people that I already knew. And there's a variety in those people, but still, it's all part of my network. And so what I've done in the last week is I've reached out to people who are outside of my network and I've had some pieces of feedback. Some of the feedback has just been flat out like, this isn't going to work for me. But I have had some really good conversations. I actually talked with a professional manager of bands who manages a fairly popular local band that I'm a big fan of. This is someone that I had never had any contact with before. I emailed him cold, and he got back to me. And what's interesting is that he had actually gone through the whole process of thinking through what it would be like to create an app for his band, sort of listing the requirements and thinking about the concerns, and ultimately decided that it wasn't going to be practical because maintaining an app is a lot of work, and obviously the whole thing would be really expensive. And for the number of users that they would have, just for that band, it wouldn't really be worth it. But one of the cool things about having these conversations with people is that everybody has a slightly different use case in their mind. Like when they imagine people using it or they imagine why they would need it, there's different features that they highlight as being important, or there's different angles, different approaches that they take when they're thinking about it. So one of the things that came out of this conversation was, well, two things actually. The first one was that this can be pitched as a fan club. And I may have mentioned that before, I'm not sure, but it really solidified the idea that a model that already exists for where people get together who are all fans of the same band, it's a fan club. It's just, that's not something that people talk about a lot these days. That was a pre-internet thing. You subscribe to the fan club and it's like a mailing list and they physically mail you stuff. But with the demise of MySpace, which was probably the closest thing that there was to like an internet fan club for bands that was like consistently used, now there isn't really a good place for that. Some bands run their own fan club operations, but for those bands that for whom it would be impractical to run their own operation, Hi-Hat is actually a potentially good approach to that. I apologize, the light is changing. I use natural light, and so when like clouds move over the sun, it changes. Anyway, so the fan club thing, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of the app that makes for a good pitch is that the cost of maintenance is prohibitive for most bands. So even if you can afford to create the app in the first place, you can't necessarily afford the time or the money to maintain it. So what's nice is that as bands give feedback for Hi-Hat, and Hi-Hat builds new features because band A asked for it, bands B through Z are all going to receive the same benefit. And that's something that is just, it's totally impractical unless they get to a certain size. So, I've had other conversations, but I just want to mention, for the sake of people building stuff, it's important to have conversations outside your network because people that have different experiences and access to different information are going to have different perspectives, and sometimes their perspectives are going to be incredibly useful. So one hour plus long conversation that I had with somebody who I had never met before gave me a lot of useful insights. All right. That's it for today. Again, I apologize for it being a day late, and I also apologize for the light constantly changing as I'm talking. That was kind of weird and extreme. Anyway, so I post new video blogs every Wednesday. Remember to subscribe so you can always get the latest. If you like the videos and comment on them, then it's good for the SEO, blah, blah, blah. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.